up, YouTube? Big Lou and Big Louie's Coast Review back again with another review, and today we're here to do a nice little review on the TVL Colt 45 series Naval Brass mod. Now, this mod I did not purchase. This was not even given to me by the company or by the owners. This is actually donated by a friend of mine by the name of Pugchop. That's what he is at Instagram, at Pugchop on Instagram. He's got a nice little vape community called sketch_E_vapes, which Sketchy Vapes is just a paper mod company and a paper juice company, okay? He does a little spoof on hand-checking juices and mods made of paper. So, you know, if you want to go check him out. Pugchop, thank you very much for giving me this device. I appreciate it. You know I love you, brother. So, yeah, so this device was actually given to Pugchop by the owner of a shop called Money Cat Vapors out in Long Island, New York. Now, Money Cat Vapors used to be another vape shop originally in Oceanside Island Park area, but then they opened up Money Cat Vapors in another area. So, yeah, check out Money Cat Vapors, look into it, go there, you know, do some shopping, whatever. Cool guy that owns the shop and everything. He gave this device to Pugchop and was like, here, dude, you know, use it. You know, it's a new company. I've been thinking about carrying it. Ever since Pugchop told him to carry it, he's been carrying the devices. And then later on from there, there was a Long Island TVL Cloud Comp, or there was a Long Island TVL Squad. They call them the Comp Squads or the TVL Squads. So shout out to the TVL Squads out there. You guys are using a device that you love for a reason, and I'm going to talk about that reason today. Now, this is a single 18650 24 millimeter deck. It's a hybrid mechanical mod. It's got a real interesting button. I'm going to show you the button up close. It's got a nice little design on it. Kind of reminds me of like the barrel of a gun. I don't know why, but those engravings kind of remind me of a barrel of a gun. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it is a hybrid mod. They say it's 24 millimeter, but I think it might be either a millimeter off, because I have a Kennedy 24 millimeter, and a Kennedy 24 usually fits on most 24 millimeter devices, but this just seems to be just a hair bigger than the actual. You can see just a ledge right there, which I don't mind. For those really fucking picky people out there that want to see a solid line or just a solid tube with no creases or ledges or anything like that, then it's probably going to drive you nuts. But as far as me, I think it looks really good. What I did with mine is I use a Kennedy 24 copper base. So I use a copper deck with a brass Kennedy cap. And then I've got a drip tip. This is made by Dr. Handcrafted. He's got a website called suckitdriptips.com. He's got these really nice hand-lathed drip tips that he makes. They fit really, really nice for the 24 millimeter Kennedys. And you can see I've got this scheme going, the color scheme of having the copper deck that matches the drip tip as well as the cap and the brass mod itself. Now, my cap is patinaed, so it's a little darker than the actual mod itself. So all that takes is just a little polishing, which I'm not in the mood to do. But this is a hybrid mechanical mod. Really nice naval brass mod. They have a Tyrillium copper, 99.99% Tyrillium copper. What does that mean to me? Absolutely nothing. All I know, it sounds really good that it's Tyrillium copper. Sounds like something straight out of Superman. But whatever, you know. This is oxygen-free naval brass. I'm not like a geologist. I don't know what these raw materials really are. If somebody says oxygen-free naval brass hits the hardest, well, the only way I'll know is if I put a fucking super sub-ohm build on here and know if it hits hard. So today we're rocking a 0.06 ohm build. I don't advise anybody to do my builds, so just put that in the footnotes there. Do not build like I do. I build dangerously. Everybody knows it, okay? So therefore, if you're going to have this mod, please put a 0.25 and above on your device. Now, with that being said, the public service announcement is over. This mod itself hits really nice for 0.06. I mean, of course, it's always going to depend on the build you put on the RDA to know whether or not this thing can handle it. But I put these low builds in here just to see how hot the device gets and how hot the button will get, okay? Because nobody likes getting a hot button. So far, no hot button, which is nice, okay? Now, as far as the button construction itself, I think it's pretty cool what they did, all right? I'm going to show you why I think this is pretty cool. Now, if you look at it in a sense where, like, most of these mods today, they have a Delrin adjustment on the button itself where you can raise and lower the Delrin to adjust for battery rattle. Well, on this copper tube mod, you could see that the threads don't start until somewhere as you're going in. So you see this smooth brass in there. So change focus, I can see that. You see this smooth brass, and then it leads to the actual threads, which leads to the battery, which mine has a huge arc mark on it from my fucking super sub-ohm builds. Now, what happens here basically is on the button itself, if we look at the button, right? So I'll show you the button and how it works. Okay, this is the button. You can see there's the Delrin right there to separate the positive pin from the actual negative. To separate the negative contact from the negative of the battery. So you have that Delrin there just for the height and keep the gap. Then you have yourself a 35-pound spring in there, which there's 2 holes on the negative contact, and the holes also follow through to the bottom of the device to help for venting. Now, what does this mean to the average person? Well, I'll tell you what it means. All you got to do is just take your button, drop it in there, and then spin it. Just twist and twist and twist and twist and twist. Now, if you don't want to use your hand to spin it, it has a hole on the bottom, which you can stick an Allen key in there and just spin it like that way if you wanted. You know, you have that option. But you basically spin it until it stops, okay? Until it stops, and then I have my 24mm Kennedy sitting flush to the hybrid connection, okay? And if I remove, not the RDA, but the hybrid connection from the tube mod, because this is a 3-piece mod, if I look on the inside, my positive pin sticks out further than the hybrid connection. You can see where the negative, where the threads of the 510 are, of the male threaded 510, you can see the positive pin does protrude past the hybrid cap. And that's what you want when you're using hybrid connecting mods. Now, since I already adjusted the height for battery rattle, you can see my battery slightly sticks out through the top, which is fine because this is a deep enough hybrid cap where it would work fine for you. Okay, the threads are a little beefy, which I like beefy threads. I'm not a huge fan of very, very fine threads. To me, some people think fine threads on a connection of a mechanical mod is for better conductivity, and they're probably right, but I don't like fussing around with very fine threaded mechanical mods, because for me, if I'm in a rush one day I put my cap on, I don't want to, over thread or cross thread anything and strip anything out. So that's just always a concern for me, especially when working with brass or copper, because it has a tendency to, because it's malleable, it has a tendency to cross thread if you don't watch what you're doing correctly. Now, with that being said, does this mod hit hard? Well, it can handle the builds that I put on here. It can definitely handle the builds I put on here. Vape's really nice. Vape's real nice. Does the mod increase taste? No, nothing increased taste except the RDA and how you do your builds. Does create vapor? Of course it creates vapor, because it's just a tube, folks. That's all it is. It's just a tube. But does it handle? That's the big question with mechanical mods is, is the voltage drop there? But no, fuck that. Listen, does it handle a super sub-ohm build? Yes. I could put anything I want on here and it's handled it really well. Does it get hot, the tube? A tiny bit warm, but not hot, which is great. The button, do I get an electrical bolt flying through my finger? No, I don't burn my finger. I don't get hot button or anything like that. And as far as the button goes, if you want to see what it looks like, let's see. I'll show you the button. Just did a hiccup there. Okay, this is the button. It says Made in California 760. I guess 760 is maybe the area code where they're from in California, 760. I know Californians are real big on that. It's definitely not the serial number, because this is serial number 204. Okay? So I know in Cali, they say, yo, from the 949, yo, from the 919, or, 949, 919, 719, I don't know, 714. Everyone's always quoting where they're from. It gets to a point where they literally put the area code of their phone number on their back. Like if they're from 909, they'll put 909 real big from shoulder to shoulder, which I never understood, which is kind of dumb. But, hey, that's what people do. And I'm sure people do it. And I don't mean to offend anybody. That's just me. That's how I am. I don't know. And that's about it, folks. Is this a great mod? Fuck yeah, it's a great mod. If you want to pick them up, they got it in copper. Now, the copper it ran at $225 originally for the copper, but now it's reduced to, I think, let me just check the website and see where the hell it runs at now. It's at $199 for the Telluride copper, and the brass is selling for $179. Initially, the brass was at $200 and the copper was at $225. Prices have been dropped and reduced. The brass is at $179 and the copper is at $199. Is it worth the price? I mean, that's always the golden question. Is it worth the price? Well, it's really up to you to decide, because it's up to fit, feel, and function. Okay, how does it feel in your hand? For me, it feels great in my hands. I like the weight. I like the button. I like the spring, that it's very, very strong. I don't really need magnets in here. Is it going to conduct better with magnets or spring? I don't know. I don't give a shit. And you know what? It works really well. I got no problem with it. I like the design, and I like the feel of it. It feels nice in the hand. And it looks good with a 24mm Kennedy on it, And that's all I got to say, folks. So from me to you, peace out. Is it worth the money? That's solely up to you. Would I buy this at $179? Well, I bought mods at $280, So, yeah, I would buy this at $179 because that's me. But you may be different. You may want to get a clone of something for $5 and use that. And that's fine. By all means, do so. And I'm not saying fuck clones, and I'm not saying authentics only, and I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying buy whatever the fuck you want to buy. But as long as you know you're vaping on a safe product, because sometimes some of the clones are a little janky. And, if you're doing super sub-ohm builds on a janky device, you're putting your life at risk. So, therefore, if you're going to build super sub-ohm builds, buy yourself an authentic mod, something reliable, something trustworthy, something that's going to work well. Don't put tanks on hybrid connections. I'm just going to close off with that. I keep seeing people on Instagram doing hybrid connections with tanks, and you should not do that. It is very important to have that positive pin on your 510 connection of your RDA protruding past the male 510 threads of your RDA. Okay, very, very important. And it must be insulated. So you must have a good RDA to do that. So look into it, invest into it, buy it. It's worth it, trust me. You could buy one setup like this. A setup like this will last you forever, and you'll be happy. You won't need another mod after that. So from me to YouTube, peace out. Thanks for watching. Laters. Peace out!